My name's Francis, and I'm the founder of Milky Media. I've made over $2.5 million in profit in the last 12 months through Milky's OnlyFans management, consulting, and products. Today, I'm going to share one of the most valuable concepts I've ever learned in business and show you how you can apply this concept to your OnlyFans management today to create models that produce millions in revenue. As entrepreneurs, we're taught that one of the highest virtues in business is competition, and that success is a function of outcompeting others. One of my favorite business people in the world is Peter Thiel, a co-founder at PayPal and the founder of Palantir. He speaks and writes about his beliefs on business, and one of his most outspoken beliefs, the one that I've found most valuable in my career, is that as an entrepreneur, competition is for losers, and the best businesses are effective monopolies. You only have to look at the largest companies in the world as proof of this principle. Google completely dominates the search market. Meta invented social media as we know it, and Nvidia produces between 70 to 90% of all GPUs globally. The question you should always be asking yourself in business is not, how can I outcompete other people in my industry, but instead, how can I create an effective monopoly so I don't have to compete at all? In the OnlyFans management industry, this requires some creative thinking. While there are some differences in strategy and approach, all agencies offer a functionally identical service to their clients, increasing the amount of revenue they generate through OnlyFans. Similarly, all of our clients have identical offers. Subscribe to their OF page for the privilege of spending money on whatever content they offer. There might be some differences at the margins. The fan might be after a specific look or kink or fetish, but at the end of the day, it's the same product. There are many ways that agencies can produce monopolies through products and services. For instance, Milky has created the only tool on the market today designed to identify whales and run warm outreach campaigns on them. If you want to check it out, go to ofmharpoon.com. However, today, I want to put forth my own argument on how agencies can develop functional monopolies for their creators through brand. Everyone in this business is familiar with the concept of niche. For example, big boobs, e-girls, barely legal, etc. Unfortunately, a lot of OFM owners think that niche is synonymous with brand. They are wrong. Niche is just a category. The creator is still competing with every other creator that falls into their niche for eyes, ears, and clicks. You might believe that because you manage a creator that makes 5 or 6 figures a month, that you're a marketing genius who has dominated your niche. But the reality is that your dominance is temporary and easily disrupted by other competitors. For instance, if you have a creator who is capable of making $100,000 a month via niche-based marketing, it's very likely that she can reach $1 million a month through establishing a brand-based monopoly. Definitions are important. So what do I mean precisely by a brand-based monopoly? A brand-based monopoly is created when a creator has developed a completely unique identity that cannot be replicated. In other industries, these brand monopolies are obvious. There are millions of YouTube creators who make entertaining content, all competing with each other for attention. But there's only one Mr. Beast, and he's been able to leverage his brand monopoly to create multiple incredibly lucrative businesses. Everyone in OFM wishes they were managing Sophie Rain, but what they don't realize is that they can make their own Sophie Rain via branding. For the rest of this video, I'm going to explain the core principles of successful brand monopoly building in OFM using the best example I'm aware of in our industry, Camilla Araujo. Camilla is one of the most successful and recognizable creators on OnlyFans today. She has around 20 million followers across all platforms, makes millions per month on OnlyFans alone, and has leveraged her brand to collaborate with some of the biggest names in OF, creating a self-lubricating marketing machine that produces exponential value for herself and everyone associated with her, all through the power of brand-based monopoly. In the context within which I'm describing it, brand has 3 key components: instant recognizability, association, and avatar. Instant recognizability is simple. You understand it intuitively. When you see a sign with a green mermaid and a line around the block, you know you're looking at a Starbucks. When you look at a basketball shoe with a swoosh on it, you know you're looking at a pair of Nikes. However, it's a mistake to think that recognizability is just what you see with your eyes. Camilla doesn't have an obvious niche. In terms of appearance, the only remarkable thing about her is how unremarkable she is. If you saw her walking down the street, you wouldn't look twice. She's just a regular-looking mid-20s Miami girl who's had a bit of work done. Camilla's recognizability thus has little to do with her physical traits. It's a result of repetition. If you blindfolded me and forced me to swipe through the Instagram reels of OnlyFans creators, I'm pretty sure the CIA does this to torture dissidents, I would be able to identify reels created by Camilla in under a second every time. This is because her content repertoire is very limited. If you scroll through her reels, she really only makes 3 different types of short-form content: TikTok dances and lip syncs, where she rotates through a selection of 6 to 10 trending audios, all of which I guarantee you've heard dozens of times. Here are a few. Thirst traps, which are short reels of her in skimpy outfits from photo shoots in an interesting location, and drama farming, almost always in the form of a podcast or interview with someone the audience finds interesting. This has ranged from her brother to other OF girls or pornographic actresses. The drama farming almost always contains either the involved parties arguing or bickering, the involved parties finding some sort of heartfelt resolution from a previous argument, or reading and interacting with negative comments from fans. Visually, she uses a lot of vivid colors in her videos, typically very clean white clothes or objects, and her bright pink Audi. Sound is another very important part of Camilla's brand. She has several catchphrases. She popularized the term bop to refer to OF creators, and the phrase "Is it pink?" appears frequently in her content and has been co-opted by other creators. By strictly limiting the types of content her team produces and making strategic use of common colors and phrases across that content, Camilla has made it significantly easier for her audience to immediately recognize that the content was produced by her, which simultaneously reinforces the brand and increases the likelihood that they stick around and watch because they're emotionally invested in her as a creator. You don't get that by having your carbon copy Latina BBL creator drag her ass crack across the bathroom counter to the tune of Gasolina by Daddy Yankee. There are a lot of important lessons to take from this that you can immediately act on, but before I get into those, you should like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content right now. Oh wait,
just click the subscribe button for Daddy. Good kid.
Back to the video. You can fold instant recognizability into your agency's marketing strategy by doing the following. 1. Develop a distinct visual aesthetic for your models. This isn't just your model's body, it's the clothes she wears. Are they tight, athletic, flowy sundresses, bikini, or sexy business casual? Iconic characters in all media are recognized by their style of dress as much as they are their faces and builds. 2. Nail down 2 or 3 different types of content. At Milky, we refer to them as content verticals that your creator excels at, and ideally, that people might watch even if they're not currently jacking off. Remember that the platforms don't want to promote sexual content. They just want to promote content that people enjoy watching and that keeps them on the platform. A fantastic example of this besides Camilla is a creator named Nicole Skirts, who does a combination of eye-catching gymnastics and gymnastics-themed skit comedy. 3. Use audio. Instagram is a multimedia format, and in many cases, sound is just as important as visual. Catchphrases, sounds, and music strengthen recognizability in all brands. Just do it. I'm loving it. And just do it are all examples of iconic sounds done right. The stronger the recognizability of your creator, the more emotional investment fans and simps will place in your creator, which brings us to the second key component of brand: association. Recognizability is just the first challenge. There's no value in being instantly recognizable if you can't leverage that recognizability to influence purchasing behavior, which, friendly reminder, is our job. Associations are the set of feelings or thoughts that immediately pop into your head when recognition occurs. Back to the example of Nike, when you see that swoosh logo, you immediately think athletes, sports, basketball, Michael Jordan. And this is a function of the excellent job that Nike has done in their advertising. Nike is inextricably linked in the minds of consumers with athletic footwear, which is why it's nearly a $100 billion business. Typically, the associations we're trying to create for our clients as OnlyFans managers is linking their content with sexual arousal, which hopefully leads to impulsive spending behavior from followers. But this is incredibly limiting. If you only lean into sexual content, you're not only competing for attention with every other OF creator that looks like your creator, you're competing with every other woman on social media who's ever taken a selfie in a bikini. The men we are targeting are quite literally slaves to their sexual impulses, and arousing them is cheap and easy. When you're developing a creator's brand, you need to lean into the more unique aspects of that creator's personality and creative associations that not only link to sexual arousal, but to whatever range on the emotional spectrum matches your creator's authentic personality. Camilla is associated with Jack Doherty, so it shouldn't surprise you that the primary themes associated with Camilla's brand are flexing money, manufactured reality TV style drama, and the bop lifestyle. Worth noting is that while most brands strive for positive association, Camilla instead optimizes for polarity, either very strong positive sentiment reflected in her comments as people supportive of her empowered and unapologetic attitude towards sex work, or very strong negative sentiment, people condemning her for influencing young women to get into a line of work that they deem immoral. Now, why would somebody intentionally behave in a way that polarizes people for or against them? Isn't creating negative associations counterproductive to the goal of getting your audience to spend money? In the case of branding for OF, irrelevance is far worse than negative association. From a moral perspective, people are already primed to dislike OF creators. You're going to have haters no matter what, and those haters are never going to spend money on your creator's content, but you can still use them to your advantage because their views and engagement count just as much as positive ones. Remember, Camilla's brand is largely built on manufactured drama, starting fake beef with other creators, picking fights with her siblings and staff on camera, etc. By having an equally large percentage of fans and haters, Camilla ensures that no matter whose side the audience is on, that audience engages with her content, keeping her relevant, increasing the likelihood that it gets served to other users, and sucking them into the drama and creating a viral feedback loop. A polarizing personal brand, plus frequent collaborations with other major creators, even if the texture of those collaborations is adversarial, ensures that Camilla stays in the limelight as long as possible. However, even if your creator doesn't have access to collaborators to create fake drama with, there are many ways to approach association that can be accomplished solo. If your creator has a nurturing, kind, caring personality, you could consider leaning into mothering or wife-related content. Slice of life, cooking videos, etc. The viewers might associate with warm, motherly feelings. God knows our audience has mommy issues. Personally, I found that if a creator has a decent sense of humor and timing, comedy is one of the best things to lean into, as making someone laugh is one of the fastest ways to generate a powerful positive association in a short-form medium. Speaking of the constraints of short-form media, the third element of brand-based monopoly is knowing your avatar, or in this case, thinking like a loser. Originally, the final key component of brand was going to be storytelling and narrative development, but storytelling in a medium where the average viewer only watches the first 3 to 6 seconds of a given piece of content is very tricky. You not only have to immediately capture your audience's attention, you have to hold it for the duration of your content and create a desire to return for more. I realized two things as I was writing this section. One, storytelling for short-form content is way too complex for a video of this length. It needs its own entire discussion. And second, storytelling isn't even the right word for what I want to talk about here. While Camilla and her team are arguably the best in the OF business at creating narratives that average and slightly more retarded than average people find extraordinarily compelling, there's a more fundamental concept that you need to understand before we even breach the concept of storytelling. Avatar is just an interesting word for target audience. The first and most essential question for content creators is, who am I creating this content for? Who is my avatar? Personally, my preference is to make content that I myself would watch, and my avatar is OnlyFans managers who want to build better, more efficient, more profitable agencies, because that's who I understand best and who I want to create value for. However, when it comes to your creators, your goal is not to make content that you yourself would watch. Your avatar is not other business owners, it's people who get horny from watching Instagram reels and spend hundreds of dollars on fake online relationships with your chat team. Many think that this just means you need to dumb down your content, but it's more complicated than that. Your job is essentially to trick people with attention spans that would make goldfish cringe into watching a 10 to 30-second piece of content. And if you want to do that consistently and at scale, which is how you build $1 million a month creators, you need to learn how they think. And to be honest, thinking is probably too generous a term for the level of cognition that I'm talking about. Your objective is to create an impulse that they act on without thinking. Camilla's team accomplishes this by tapping into a powerful subconscious impulse that every human being has, their sense of status consciousness. Status consciousness is a tremendous driver of human behavior. Humans constantly try to demonstrate their superiority over their peers through displays of relative success, to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. If you took the cheapest millionaire on the planet, the type of guy who makes 7 figures a year but wears clothes from Walmart and drives a used Prius, and you drop them into downtown Miami where every other car on the street is a Urus, eventually that person is going to feel like a brokey, even if they're objectively wealthier than their peers. If you leave them there long enough, constantly exposed to people who use cars and watches and clothes to signal status, that pressure is going to build until one day they say fuck it and they drop $250,000 on a Huracan. Camilla's team plays with this in two ways. First, they constantly portray Camilla as ultra wealthy, custom cars, private jets, fancy houses, etc. This establishes her as significantly higher in the status hierarchy than 99.9% of the people watching her content. Then they have her act like a clown. There are few things that losers enjoy more than feeling momentarily superior to someone who has an objectively better life than them. When the average Instagram user watches a Camilla reel, they see her doing silly dances and saying stupid things. She is totally unashamed and unafraid to play the clown. And her viewers, even if just for a moment, genuinely feel that they are morally or intellectually superior to her, which is an incredibly addictive feeling for losers. Despite the fact that Camilla makes 30 years of their salary every month, this scratches the itch in their lizard brain that tells them that they are above her in terms of relative status, which drives them to engage with the content, ensuring it gets served to more users. To apply this in your own content, think about your audience's likely insecurities related to status and how you can exploit those insecurities, either by reinforcing them or by relieving them. For instance, the target audience of my highest earning creator is primarily composed of of sexually inexperienced and unsuccessful men aged 25 to 32 who make between 60 and 90K a year in unskilled labor. Quick aside, if you're wondering how I know our target demo that well, stick around until the end of this section. We play into this by making her seem like she is, herself, a bit of a loser, no romantic prospects, no friends, and emotionally vulnerable. In this way, we paint her as having the same level of status as her viewers, like someone on her page might have a legitimate shot at dating her if they just subscribe to her OF and start chatting. It's likely that you yourself have made content like this without even realizing why it works. Content trends like "I love a blue-collar man," or content where the model displays or states a preference for men with small or average-sized penises fall into this category. The better you understand your customer, the more effective the tactics you use to reach them and influence their behavior in your branding strategy. The good news is, you probably already have a decent understanding of how to think like a loser from the chatting side of the business. You just need to apply what you've learned to your marketing efforts. The better news is, you can get significantly more accurate insights and monetize them immediately with Harpoon. Every now and then, you land a fan that spends thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars on a model. We call them whales, and they represent the bulk of your agency's income. In our experience, around 80%. However, you probably don't even know what your whales have in common or how to find and market to them. You might get lucky every now and then when a whale stumbles across your model's page, but at Milky, we prefer to make our own luck. What if there were a way to leverage your model's existing social media presence, not only to find whales, but to reach out to thousands of them directly at scale and push them straight to your model's OnlyFans page? What if you can convert 20 to 30% of your best possible prospects into paid subscribers and their average lifetime value was $100 or more? This isn't a hypothetical anymore. Milky, in partnership with compatiblewith.me, has developed a tool that does exactly this. We call it Harpoon, and it's a game changer. In our first month of testing, Harpoon directly produced over $40,000 in revenue for a single model. And now we have an even more refined version of the product ready for other agencies to use. If you want to find high-income fans primed to spend money on your model and learn exactly how to reach them, visit ofmharpoon.com to learn more. Plug over, back to the video. If you've been paying attention, congratulations. You now have a better understanding of how to create a brand-based monopoly for your creators than 99% of OnlyFans management agencies on the face of the earth. Laying the groundwork for establishing brand monopolies right now is not only going to make you more money in the short term, it's going to make your agency significantly more attractive to clients that are capable of making 7 or 8 figures a year in the long term. The OnlyFans management industry is still quite new, 6 years old at most, and there are dozens of new agencies popping up and dying every day. The competition at the bottom and the middle is only going to get more ferocious. And as with all things business, over time, all of the resources are going to pool at the top. If you want to get on top and stay there, like this video and subscribe to the channel. My goal is to provide valuable insights to OnlyFans agency owners who are in it for the long haul and want to master their craft. And I'll keep doing it until I can't anymore. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about Milky and the products and services we provide for other agencies, check out our website, milky.media. I'll see you in the next one.